Computer. What do you think?
I really like the cover.
It's cute. It's
Mhm.
really cute. One thing I didn't know, or maybe I knew and I forgot, it was in Spanish and it was translated.
Oh.
Yeah. Which
Do
I
you
know,
think that's why some things in because like I like when Julie said that she had just started and she can tell why it's been canceled. I was like maybe that's why some of the language sounds very like
yes,
vulgar.
Hmm.
yes. Yes. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, But then I was going through like the first pages, kind of reading a little bit of the stuff, and in very small font, it's like translated from Spanish. I'm like, oh. And it kind of reminds me of we read another book, right, that was translated?
Was it the one?
Oh,
Before, yeah, the coffee gets
the
cold.
coffee one, right? Before the coffee gets cold or something? I
Uh-huh. Hmm.
think it was that one. So now I'm wondering if certain things sound better in Spanish than how it's being told to us.
I'm sure. I feel like
Hmm.
sometimes too when you translate things, they don't always come. They're not like that accurate.
Hmm. I'm finding it entertaining though. I don't know what I was expecting, but it's interesting how we have like this narrator and then we kind of get like the present tense of what's his name? Is it? I forgot his name. Not Marcos. Esteban.
Hmm.
At least the first few, I think the first chapter, the second chapter, might have been the first chapter. It was like the narrator, and then it was like his little spiel of like, oh, what did he say? Something about back then, if I knew I was gonna live up to 91 or something, I would have rather be like shot myself because when Rosa died. And I was like, wait, what? And I was kind of confused, so I put a little line kind of like this is Esteban, and then it goes back to like the story.
Was that was in the first chapter, right?
Yeah, I think it's the first chapter.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it was Rosa.
Yeah, I'm listening to it, but now maybe I need to read it like on paper
Hmm.
to see like the when things change perspectives or POVs.
Because it was like I think just like in general, just telling the story. And then there
Hmm.
was a part or two, I think there was two, where the whole story just kind of went into first person. He's like, I sat down. I was about 25 then.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I thought it was going to continue that way, but it didn't. Only for like two paragraphs. But it's pretty intense.
Yeah, especially when Rosa died. That was her name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And describing the process and
Mm-hmm.
like her dead body. Um, I also like how I mean, I know this was back in the day, but it just made me think of like how common are open caskets now. Um, because I don't know if I could look at like the corpse of somebody
Somebody did.
like psychologically. I don't know if it's healthy for your mind.
Yeah. I mean, I saw my uncle
Mm,
and his son is like on what you're saying. He's like, I can't do it. I don't want to see him that way. I want to remember how he was and all that, all those things. And I've seen both of my uncles, like one 12 years ago, but the more recent one was last weekend. I don't know, for me, I know people take it that way, but for me, I don't feel like it was traumatic.
More like closure, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But it's interesting because they were talking about that whole open casket section. And it's like not everyone, and I'm not gonna say like you're weak or you're strong. It's not even about that. I think it's just difficult for some people. And maybe for me, I was like I was fine with it then or like now, but who knows like later on if I'm gonna be like
Mhm.
only thinking about that, you know?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's interesting how I think in the story how initially they said, oh, they were prepping her, they wanted to see what the like an autopsy.
Mhm.
But then when we got the story, a little bit of like the sister Clara, and then like the assistant that was there was actually do like he kissed her in like all over, and the first
Yes, that
section
was.
was not there. Like in the
Yeah.
first section, we didn't hear about that. It was just like, oh, he closed her up.
Mhm.
And then the second part when she was describing or they said that she saw him, I'm just like, oh my God. And then that's when obviously it was traumatic for her. And
Mhm.
she didn't speak for years.
Yeah, 9 years.
Yeah.
She was getting married, I think.
Yeah. I thought she was gonna marry um Esteban.
Mhm.
I was like, oh my gosh, no. He didn't get to marry Rosa, so he's gonna marry the sister. Oh, I don't like it. But then
Well, I'm wondering if that's still gonna happen because he's like going home because his mom's sick. I'm like, are they gonna reconnect? Or his mom died or sick?
yeah, his mom is dying. And I was thinking the same thing because at first I literally wrote down, although I put the wrong name, I put Marcos. I think it's the uncle that died. But I meant like Esteban. I was like, oh my gosh, he didn't get to be with Rosa, so he's over here all devastated and he's gonna see her and be like, you know what, I'm gonna marry you.
And they're
But
cousins, right?
yeah,
Rosa and Esteban or Marco.
I think Marco. I can't remember. There was one cousin that was trying. Oh, Marcos was the one that was trying to woo his cousin.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
That was
Esteban is not a
intense.
cousin.
I was like, sir, move on.
Yeah.
And then they keep saying Trueba. Is that Esteban or
I think that's
something?
his last name.
Okay. They kind of interchange that. I'm
Yeah,
confused.
because then I think they were saying, I think they said that I think his mom had money and then fell in love with someone who didn't have money and kind of ru took their money and ruined like the last name. I got lost in that story. But it made it seem that now Esteban and the sister and the mom don't have anything because the dad took everything. And now he's like rebuilding
Mhm.
the little town.
Did they? I think I missed it. Did they say where the town is?
Mm, I don't know. I don't know if they did. I just know he got like on a train.
Or like what country they're in? Are they...
Because he was describing the ride there, like the English, but I think he was saying he felt that way. Not that it was in England.
I'm gonna Google it, but I'll let you know if there's spoilers.
I want to say that it's in Chile just because the author isn't from Chile.
Oh, true. Okay.
But they did mention
Yeah.
Chile.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I think they said, is Lima? No, it sounds like Peru.
Is it Nydia? Oh no, that's the mom's name.
Lima is Peru. I don't know
And
if
it's
that's
leading
sense.
up to the 1973 revolution.
Mm. Yeah, it's the political part and the whole like girls or women are supposed to be at home taking care of children. I was like,
Mhm.
I don't like this.
Oh, it's a fictional town, so it's not real.
Mm.
I liked the Rosa character, so I'm sad she died so
Hmm.
early on. And then this Esteban's kind of not pleasant with all his children.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. And then he said, the only children that are my children are the ones that I'm gonna have with the girl I love.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then
It's
that he
good,
went
dude.
through all the women already in that like little town, and then the neighboring one, I'm like, mm-mm. He's probably the worst character on here. Although the father in the beginning was pretty intense too.
Mhm. It
And then
kind of
all these women are like really young, which is also probably why it was banned.
Hmm.
it kind of reminds me of the book Water for Chocolate.
I haven't read that one.
I haven't read it in a long time,
Mhm.
but like deep in my memory, like when they're talking about a woman's role and everything, it reminds me of that book.
I know it's also a movie or a series, right?
Yeah, I think that a movie. I think there might have been like several adaptations of it.
Hmm.
Oh, there's something on Max, and they have it a Spanish version and a English version.
Mm. Yeah, I remember seeing that book when I lived with Corina, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna read it." And then she moved away, so I bought it, and I still haven't read it. It's like, oh,
I will say, if I ever have a child, a girl, I'm gonna name her Clara.
I like that name.
Like that's at the top of my list.
Yeah, I really like it.
Love that.
Yeah, I think like that family is more interesting to me than Esteban. So I think the next chapter says it's Clara. So
Hmm.
kind of just want to get back to that family.
Yes. Like the mom, so the dad was super into politics and then he got out, right? And now it seems like the mom is going into it.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the mom had 15 children. That
Yeah.
is
And they said how many survived? Like 11?
11, I think. And then when they were describing like at the beginning that she was feeling like dizzy and fatigue. I was like, oh my gosh, she's pregnant. I was like 16. Oh, jeez.
19 kids and counting.
I know. It's like, oh. But you know, you can have as many as you want, but it doesn't seem like they're in a very good situation.
Yeah, what was the mom's politics? Was it like women's rights?
It seems like when I think they were talking about Esteban and having elections, like trying to do all that, they mentioned a little bit about the mom that she I think was trying to do a little bit of maybe have more women in some sort of Congress or Supreme Court.
Yeah, I think she was talking about the suffragettes.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
also was
yeah.
talking
Suffragette
about
posters. Mm-hmm.
that women aren't going to be able to, you know, I guess break the glass ceiling until they don't have to wear corsets and
Mm-hmm.
whatever other piece of clothing because they're so uncomfortable.
Corsets are like coming back into fashion.
I know.
That like cracks me up. Like we fought to get away from that, and now it's like
And
coming
then now it's fashion.
back. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. To have equal rights with men and be allowed to vote and attend school. Yeah. That I agree with you, Julie. That whole family sounds way more interesting than Esteban. He just sounds like, I'm sad Rosa died. I'm leaving. I don't care about my mom. I'm like, sir. And then
Yeah, like my mom's sick. I don't care about her. And
yeah,
my sister just takes care of my mom.
yes. And then like even then when he's still like working with the whole little building up the community there, they mentioned that he would go up or like I don't know if it's take a horse or I don't think they have cars or they mention cars. I don't know how he's traveling, but when he's close to like where his mom and his sister live, that he's like he doesn't visit. That to me, I'm like, you really don't care. You're really selfish and you're an a-hole because he knew she was sick. And back to like the whole in his perspective, there's a section where he says that he when he thinks back on those days, he feels great sadness. Like his life has gone by very fast. If I had to do if I had it to do over again, there are a few mistakes I wouldn't make, but in general, there's nothing I regret. So yeah, he regret or not regrets, but he knows he made mistakes, but even then just saying that he doesn't regret it, I'm like, come on. You caused a lot of damage. Yeah, sure he seems like he's helping the community, but at the same time he has no rules for himself, or he's like, yeah, whatever. I can do whatever I want.
It makes me
Sounds
wonder
like
if he married Rosa, would he have been faithful to her or still had all these women?
And like, did he want Rosa because he really liked her, or only because everyone desired her and she was the most beautiful?
it's like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah. I don't know. He's a he's a character.
it is interesting to see like the parallels of because of course we know like what our women's rights movement was here in the United States and like
Mhm.
when it occurred. It's just interesting to see it from another country and how it's all similar, like it's a universal fight. We all
Hmm.
have to do a little differently depending on the country, but like the reasoning behind it is all the same.
Yeah, I can't wait for Claire's chapter because she seems to have these powers that are pretty cool.
Have you guys ever known anyone who's gone mute, who's been a mute?
I think I had a patient, and I guess they give him. I think he had gone mute. I forget what they called it, but they give him like antidepressant. So he was on an antidepressant, but then stopped and went mute again, and then
Mm-hmm.
needed to go back on it. But it was weird because he was like in high school. And his grades were good; they were like pretty good. But I guess he wouldn't talk at school, but he'd talk to his mom. But then his mom said he stopped talking.
Oh. Mm.
That sounds like exactly like a student I had. He was in high school. He had selective mutism, so he wouldn't speak at home or at school, but like if he was alone in his room, his parents could hear him talking.
Hmm. So that was your student?
Mm-hmm. I
Mm.
had him like my second year of teaching,
Mm. And he
and
never.
he never said anything. He would do very little work because he would always be very tired.
Mhm.
Um, but he would nod. So that was one way to communicate with him, and he would like write short phrases on paper if you're really trying to talk to him. Um, but it was mostly like giving him directions, and then he would sometimes follow them and sometimes wouldn't. And he would also move kind of slow, like his
Mm.
movements, like he was exhausted or something. But from what I understand, it's like if the body or someone goes through something traumatic or there's like repeated trauma, and this is how, their brain is able to help them cope. And sometimes it's also like an act of defiance.
Mhm.
Like if they've had so much trauma, this is their way of um, being defiant without like being violent or anything.
Mhm.
That makes sense why the antidepressant works. It just seems like so weird, so extreme.
Mhm.
Mhm. So I wonder for Clara, like with her sister passing, that was her traumatic event to lead to the mutism.
Mhm.
But it's a very interesting, I guess you would call it a mental health illness.
Mhm. I'm trying to remember if in the book we read that was really intense, A Little Life, that didn't happen, right? He didn't go mute.
No, I guess his manifested in self-harm and
So far, yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like I read a book
self-esteem.
about it. One of the characters doing it, but I can't remember what. which one it was. But yeah, that's sad to think about how much trauma can affect a person.
Mhm. I also wonder why, like, getting married was her catalyst to start talking again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did she finally feel safe
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say that.
knowing or what?
But also, how do you, well, I guess maybe the partner kept trying and trying, and maybe she
Mhm.
ends up nodding and doing all, because it's like when they got married, not before, not when she got a boyfriend, not when she, it's when she got
Mhm.
married. So that's interesting. Hmm. I hope it's not Esteban.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I wonder if that was her next like vision, or if she had some that were bad and she kept it to herself, and that was just like the next good one.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think after her sister died, I think she felt some sort of guilt, right? And I think her mom was saying, like, no, you can only, like, in a way see the future, but not, like, really cause it.
I also wonder if maybe it's like a spiritual thing. Because is it monks? Like some monks take like a vow of silence. I'm not sure. I forgot the reason, but maybe that's another part of it. Whatever her spiritual beliefs are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think the monks do, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I just looked it up and they do it to become closer to God and achieve spiritual purity.
Hmm.
It says that some of them do. And then there's some that say um, that some are able to just converse when appropriate. That's interesting. It says some Buddhist monks take a vow of silence to learn that anxiety to be heard is what breaks the vow, not speaking. Hmm.
I always thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see what happens. This chapter was this section was shorter because I couldn't break the pages right where I needed it to be. So this next section will be slightly longer, but it won't be, I think, too bad. Maybe like 10 more pages. So we would read chapter 3 to chapter 5. We don't read chapter 6.
Okay.
Serving for salads and desserts. Having no food to eat, no. Oh, wait, okay, here we have duck.
5 is the lovers.
No, duck.
Don't read revenge.
So,
Ooh.
Starting now, someone has to touch the duck.
I do not know what to tell you, except it will not be me.
This
What
is
are you
bad.
watching?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, it's Gilmore Girls.
I was like, I hear an accent.
No mountain.
It's going on in the background.
Plan nailed out. Strategy. You're gonna eat this.
So we could all do some pizza or Chinese food or perhaps some.
That's why it's kind of loud.
We'll see. We'll see what happens with Clara. Hopefully it's not Esteban. Hopefully it's more of what's their last name? The other family? Del Valle. Hopefully we hear more of Del Valle family than the Trueba. I'll see you guys in a week. 7:30.
Have a good week.
Have a good week. Have a good night. Have a good rest of your week. Happy December.
December, Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.